Hello, my name is Eduardo Ventos Ortiz. I'm going to be giving a presentation on risk management and computer security. And my goal being to try to make you understand that your assets are constantly at risk and try to convince you to invest on better security measures because it is not just for the protection of your company, but also for the protection of your employees and customers that are involved with your company because we have a duty to keep them secure. All right. So, so what are the risks? So for our security, we always have to be constantly aware of the vulnerabilities that we are in our security and what are the exploits that people like hackers could use to exploit and gain access to your company's assets and information. What some of the risks are just by people, like not even just outside people. Sometimes it could very well be people that are inside of your own company, whether it be just from human errors, ignorance, or it's not always malicious. It can sometimes just be by sheer accident that they do something that that could be quite dangerous for your company's assets, or but of course, it could also be malicious. Somebody that goes in from an inside job, it could also exploit some of your vulnerabilities. Um, some of the technology uh, risk involve like some weakness in like wireless transmission, or some vulnerabilities in authentication, or some lack of encryption, or just some flaws in your software design that we need that should be invested in to try to be stronger. And in terms of some malware risk, if you don't know what a malware is, it just refers to a program that is designed to intrude upon or harm a system and its resources. Um, there there's some kinds you probably heard about viruses and Trojan horses, but we also got like some worms and bots and ransomware. All of these are just uh, a means to um, hinder your your capability to function with your software, and also to sometimes steal the information and sometimes to gain money out of you. All right, so these are very important to be aware of, and we should make an effort to keep our assets safer. All right, so we need to, in order to take care of these risk, we need to create some form of risk assessment and a way to manage it, right? So an effective risk management can happen in risk security risk assessment and a business risk assessment. So then the first layer is just we evaluate the threats to and vulnerabilities of the network. And on the second layer, on the business risk, we evaluate the impact of potential threats on the business process. We also got a vendor risk assessment, or a third party risk assessment, which evaluates the security and compliance risk related to suppliers and vendors company does business with. Posture assessment is a thorough examination of each aspect of the network to determine how it might be compromised. And a security audit is an assessment performed by a company that has been accredited by an agency that sets network security standards. So if you don't have the means to create a proper risk assessment, um, um, in your company, then there are options for a different company to perform those assessments for you. Right? There are options, and these are really important to do to be safe. All right. So for physical security, your physical assets in your company, how can we protect them? Well, we need to first prevent them getting access to your company's assets. Um, so these are some. I have a list here of some common ways that you can implement to make your company physical assets more secure. So and limit people accessing them. Like first we got a keypad or a cipher lock that are just physical or electronic locks that require code to open the door. Having to require access badge or like smart cards that you need to use to access your computers. Biometrics, like just like devices for scanning physical characteristics like your fingerprints or your retinas. Access controls, vestibules, or that create a confined space between two locked doors, for example. A locking rack and locking cabinet, just to like restrict physical access to servers, routers, switches, etc. And also smart locker, that just allows control access to equipment, computer, packages, hardware in need of repair, or are just reading account credentials stored for emergency assets. And for detection methods, like we don't only want to prevent people um, to from accessing our physical uh, access at the assets. We also want to know when they are trying to invade your assets. So for some detection methods, some common detection methods, we have some motion detection, cameras, tamper detection, like sensors that just detect the physical penetration, or like input voltage variation, like it's like just like equipment that just lets you know when somebody was trying to tamper this thing with, right? Or like asset tags where that monitor the movement and condition of equipment, inventory, and people. All right, some of the ways we can make our software more secure is by implementing regular updates and security patches, make it harder for the hackers to um, adapt and be able to access your devices a lot easier. Some administrative credentials, like limit the the privilege that individuals can have to access your assets. Some service and protocols that this could be just a setting in your device that just does a regular checkup on its own systems to keep it secure, but you also want to limit the processing power on your devices so it can go through these service protocols a lot easier and quicker. Like just simply decluttering your device from software that you're not using could help a lot, or just close unused ports, and anything that seems like unnecessary in your device that it's not using, and eliminating those can make it easier for your device to go through these services and protocols to keep it easier, to make it easier to keep itself safe. Up and up Install on your devices some form of anti-malware software. There's tons of them that we can choose from. You mostly want to implement it based on the scenario that you want to apply them on. Like some scenario could be like a host-based malware software, or like a server-based, a network-based, or even a cloud-based. Like it depends on what's your needs. Like they all have their pros and cons, but you need to implement some kind of anti-malware software. It's important. So how can we design a more secure network for your company? Some of the options are a proxy server, which is a server that acts as an intermediary between external and internal networks, and they screen all incoming and outgoing traffic. We can apply a firewall, which is a specialized device or software that selectively filters or blocks traffic between networks. It might be placed internally, or it might be placed between a private network and a public network. And but other types of firewalls just are only protect the computer on which they are installed. But some of the simplest form of firewall is packet filtering firewall, which is a network device or application that examines the header of every packet it receives. Um, we can also apply an intrusion detection system, or IDS, which is a standalone device or an application or a built-in feature running in a workstation server, switch, router, or firewall, and it monitors network traffic and generates alerts about suspicious activity. And with it, we should apply an intrusion prevention system, or IPS, which reacts to suspicious activity when alerted by the IDS. The IPS detects the threat and prevents traffic from flowing to network based on the originating IP address. All right, that's the IPS. There's also a network based IPS or a host based IPS. All right, and now we got the three A's, right? Authentication, authorization, and accounting. All right, we want to authenticate the or verify a user's credential to grant user access to secure resources. We want to authorize what the user can and cannot do with the network resources, and we want to account, or we want to make an account of the client system or network usage, right? And we should also design a directory service, which to maintain a database of account information, such as username, passwords, and just other authentication credentials. We want to keep all that stored for use. And so that's the end of my presentation. I hope I convinced you enough to on applying a more secure design for your company's physical assets and your software assets. Thank you.